All right, it's been so good to get through this lesson today. I have one final exhortation for you this morning, and that's the importance of knowing the original languages. This is especially important for men who want to be preachers and teachers of the Word of God. While we have a good number, as you've seen, English translations to read and study, for those of you that have been called to ministry, to preach and teach, it's important to have some kind of familiarity with the original languages, Greek and Hebrew especially. I think this is especially true with respect to the Greek of the New Testament. Let's talk about exegesis, okay? Exegesis is a Greek term that fundamentally means to lead the true meaning out of a text, or explanation out of a text so people can understand what God has said, to expound the text. It's used in John 1:18 with respect to Jesus himself. He, the Son sent into the world by the Father, is the one, it says in John 1:18, who has explained God to us. He told Philip, if you've seen me, Philip, you've seen the Father. And that word for explained is the Greek word exegesis. So Jesus has explained God to us, and men who have the Bible and are teaching others are trying to explain what God has said and lead the meaning out of the text. And that requires that you have to be familiar with some of the original words. Exegesis really then in its purest sense can only be done with the original text of Greek and Hebrew. You can use the English and get truth, but true exegesis in its purest sense has to do with dealing with Greek and Hebrew languages. When scholars translate the original language into English, in any of these texts that we've talked about, from word for word down to thought for thought, it still is a translation. And the men who are doing that are making exegetical decisions about the meaning of Greek words, how you put that into an English sentence, taking the Greek word order and changing it to make sense in English, because Greek word order is different than English word order. So they're making decisions for you. They determine how a verb or preposition should be translated for you. They determine word order, meaning of words, based upon context. And they cannot show you some of the beauty that is there in the original Greek with regard to how Greek emphasizes an idea. They can try, but it's neat to see it on the page in the original Greek. For example, in Greek, if they want to emphasize a word, they put it as the first word in the sentence. It doesn't matter whether it's the subject or the verb or the object, they put it first or maybe last to emphasize it. And you can't see that unless you know how the Greek works. So, here's my point, dear people, dear men. Without a basic understanding of Greek, you're at the mercy of the translators and the decisions that they make. You can't go back and think through it on your own. This is especially a handicap if you've been called to preach and teach the Bible. Okay, so I'm pleading for diligence. I'm not saying you have to become a Greek or Hebrew scholar. I'm not. Most pastors are not to be a preacher or teacher. But I would encourage you to learn enough about the languages so you can use good tools, whether it's lexicons or read commentaries well or dig behind the Greek to get advanced grammatical ideas so that you can help people understand. That's important. And there are some good tools out there to help you begin to do that. For example, Bill Mounce's book, Greek for the Rest of Us, which helps you understand these things. We all need to be good students of the Scriptures, right? And those who preach and teach especially, as Paul told Timothy as a young pastor, be diligent to present yourself approved to God as a workman who does not need to be ashamed, accurately handling the word of truth, and being familiar with the original languages will help you to be accurate, as Paul exhorted Timothy.